Would you like to try it, or do you want me to give you do you want me to work through this one with you?
I'll try it first.
Okay.
Okay, I think I have the answer.
All right, give me your factored form.
X plus 9, x minus 2.
Okay, perfect. All right, now one more here, just increasing the difficulty slightly. Basically, it's like it just comes down to like how many numbers do you have to sort of go through to figure it out. All right, so just one more here. Give that one a try, please.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of guessed on this one.
Okay, so the number got bigger, which tests your ability to multiply and divide numbers. So what did you come up with?
So there's a 1 in front of the Q, right?
Yes.
So I did 56. I don't even know what I did, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. So let's just break this one apart. So you can always try one and negative 56. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Negative 1 and 56. Now it's even, so that means it's divisible by 2. 2 and negative 28, or negative 2 and 28. Do you remember the divisibility rule for 3?
I think I wrote it down over here.
So you actually just add up the digits and ignore the sign. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Is 11 divisible by 3?
No.
No. 4, the divisibility rule for 4, that you actually look at the last 2 digits, but better one is just to divide by 2 twice. So it does work because 28 is divisible by it. What's the divisibility rule for 5? Do you remember that one? What does it have to end in?
A 5 or a 0, I'm guessing.
5 or 0, so it doesn't work. 6, the divisible rule for 6 is, does it divisible by 2 or 3? It's divisible by 2, but not 3. So move on for that. And then the one we actually want is 7 and 8. So which of these adds up to positive 1?
Negative 7 and 8. Negative 7 and 8.
Okay. So minus 7 plus 8. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so we'll do a little bit more on that, but this is a variation on the same question. Okay, so I want you just to factor this. Don't worry about the rest of it. We'll talk about that in a moment, but just try factoring that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so did you factor it?
Yes.
What did you come up with?
+4 and -3.
X plus 4, x minus 3 equals 0. Now, when you're solving, you set both of those equal to 0.
Yep. X equals -4 and X equals 3.
Okay. So now let's look at what the actual question is asking. So if A is a solution, and we know that there's two solutions, it's either -4 or it's 3, which of the following is the value of A? And it's saying A must be greater than 0, A is positive. So which value is it?
It'd be 3.
It'd be 3. Good. So sometimes they ask you to do something that you know how to do, and you just have to figure out that you actually already know how to do it. And sometimes you just take a step in the direction that you already know to go. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now, very importantly here, before I snip in the next question, what is the right-hand side in this problem?
The answer?
No,
Or
what is the right-hand side? What is the value in the right-hand side? What is right of the equal sign?
0.
Okay, and in the problems we did earlier, I would have set these equal to 0, equal to 0. Think about that as I'm putting the next question up here. What is different about this question?
It's equal to 4.
Okay, so how do you make it equal to 0?
You bring the 4 over. Or
And
you
how do
can
you,
make,
yes, and you want to do that by subtracting 4 from both sides.
because you want to keep the square root from going negative.
Yes, so I think you were going to tell me something like you can move things to the right, and that's true, but you generally want this initial term positive. Okay, so can you factor this for me, please?
Yeah. +3 and -1, and X equals -3 and X equals 1.
Good. So which one do we want? If you said anything, I didn't hear you.
It's 1. Sorry.
We want 1, yeah. Now it could ask for the negative solution, right? And then we would give them the other one. Do you agree with that? Do you see that?
Yes, I agree.
Are you okay? So I'm sensing there's either some lag or it's not clear. Is everything okay on the connection?
Yeah, my phone has been weird today. I don't know what's going on with it.
Oh, and you're doing this from your phone, is that right? Okay. If you're not already connected to Wi-Fi, that's maybe a good thing to do. But let's look at that. So here we go. Here's a new question, and it's just disguised as a factoring question, but it you may not know where to start, and but we still approach it the same way. Now on the left here, you got to be very careful if you haven't seen this in a while, because this part on the left is x minus 1, x minus 1.
Okay.
And you have to use FOIL to multiply this out. So x times x is x squared, x minus x. And that's the left side. I think you know how to do that, or you'll get comfortable doing that as we work through some more problems here. Equals 3x minus 5.
Okay. X.
So I'm gonna subtract 3x from both sides, and I'm gonna subtract 5 from both sides. Why am I doing that? What's so important about one side of the equation? What should it always equal?
0.
0.
factor it?
Yeah, hang on a second here, though. This does not have a solution. What did I miss? Let me go back and look at the original question. Oh, you have to add 5 to both sides. That's why. Okay. So that gives you 6. That's why it wasn't working. Okay, now it does. All right, go ahead and factor that, please.
-6 plus 1. So x equals 6 and x equals -1.
Now, do you remember from the other day what case this is? We talked about different types.
Oh, this is type. I wrote them all down.
Yeah, and it's good. So I'm gonna just off to the side here. It's either 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. See how they're both positive? But 2 positives can't add up to a negative. So that means they have to both be negative
Negative.
or both be positive. So do you want to change your answer?
Yes.
What is the better choice here?
-2, -3.
Okay. Now let's go back and actually look at what the original question asked so we know. What is one possible solution to the above equation? So assume that these are in the answer space, meaning that like the numbers that are associated with this are there. What's one of the x values?
2,
And what's the other?
3.
Good. All right. So I noticed in this problem, and just tell me if you agree or disagree. There was just a bit more, there's a few more steps here in this one. First, we had to FOIL this, then we had to move terms, then we had to factor, kind of 3 things. Do you feel like when there's more than one sort of set of steps that you struggle with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do some more and let's see if we can get even better at this. All right. Okay. So this is somewhat new, but it's related again. All right, it's related. So this is the first time we've seen a problem with one of these, the square root symbol. Do you remember how to undo a square root symbol?
You square it.
Square it. So we're actually going to square both sides of the equation. On the left, it undoes the equation. On the right, I want you to expand this, the x minus 7, just like we did in the previous problem. If you need me to go back up, I can, but go ahead and simplify that for me, please.
It's just 2 x minus 7s, and then you want to FOIL it.
I want you to FOIL, yeah, the right-hand side, please.
7x. 7x. Plus 49. So -14x plus 49.
Okay, I think I heard the following. Is that what you wrote down?
Yeah.
Okay, and the order does matter. You want to go in descending order. Maybe you've lined up in your team from tallest to shortest or something. We want to do that here. There's like a niceness to it. Now, we want everything on one side of the equation. And like you said, we don't want to move this because we want to keep it positive. So we're going to move the other terms over. And it's okay that the zero is on the left. You can actually write it on the right if you prefer. It really doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to get it down to.
What it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Sorry, my handwriting is kind of slow, so I've been.
Tell me to slow down. I've been told I go too fast, and I will slow down, or we can just pause whatever needs to be done to do that.
Like half a step, maybe 2 steps behind, or
Okay.
1. Not 2. You want me to factor?
I do. Yeah, I would love that.
35 divided by 7. Negative. -7. Okay, I got the x equals 5 and x equals 7.
Okay, now there's actually a bit more to this question because it's a root. And I've been sort of deciding in the last few minutes whether we should like talk about that or just make a note here that there's more to do. Do you feel like it would be okay if I explain what the
Yeah.
more to do is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've probably heard this a million times in your math classes, check your work, check your work. Okay, and you're like, well, how do I check my work if I don't even know if it's right? Well, you can actually do that here. Okay, you can actually put these values back in to the equation. All right, and actually, let me do it differently. Let me grab, let me just rewrite it here. So it's, sorry, I guess I will do it this way. All right, so on the left here, we're going to try x equals 5. And it's kind of like a question. It's 14 minus 2 times 5 equals, and a question mark, meaning like, I wonder if they're the same. And you would tend to think they are, but we're going to see that they're not in a moment. Inside the root, 14 minus 2 times 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 14 minus 10 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. Does 2 equal -2?
No.
No, but they're the answer to this on the right here.
So 7 has to be plugged in.
You should try 7. Now, hang on a second. Like that's it's really important to kind of think about like what's going on here, because it worked here. But what did you do? What was the first thing you did in this problem?
Well, or
You squared both sides. You
Yep.
squared both sides. Now, have you ever seen the movie Space Jam?
Yeah.
So like if you're a basketball player and you have reasonable athletic ability, you can dunk the ball from, I don't know, a few steps near the rim, right? I don't know if you can dunk. Are you able to dunk yet?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. In Space Jam, they're dunking from like half court, the next city over, right? So the rules don't always apply when you're in another space. And when you square this problem, you're basically changing this to another space, another world, so to speak. And we don't want to get real mathy about it, but yeah, this is the solution to this problem, but it is not the solution to this problem.
Okay.
And that's why you have to check. So I want you to check the other one here. You're going to find that it does work, but it's important that you have like, you're like, yeah, I get it. I got it. I know that this works.
Yeah. So 7 or 2 times 7 is 14. 14 minus 14 is 0. And then 7 minus 7 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0.
Yeah. All right. So the truth though is that sometimes there is 2 solutions. Sometimes there's only one. And I can't tell you when it will be. So when you look at this problem here, okay, and it says if A equals 2, what is the solution set of the equation about? Now let's put it in for A. Let's put 2 in for A. Do you see that this is basically the same problem that we did before? We're gonna square both sides, right? Now they already give you the answers. Okay, so if it were me, I probably would try the answers. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay, but now the question is, well, which one should you try first? And you look for overlap. So you either try 3 or you would try 6. Because that tells you something, right or wrong, it tells you something. So which one do you want to try?
Let's try 3.
Okay, so try it in there. Square root of 3 minus 2 equals 3 minus 4. What's the problem on the left-hand side here?
Left-hand side is square root of 1.
Okay, I'm sorry, right-hand side. What's the problem over here?
-1.
So we know that 3 is not a solution, which means not an answer and not an answer immediately.
So you try D.
Yeah, except yeah, you try D or B, doesn't matter which one, but D will end up being the correct answer. So I don't know if you're thinking of this, but like what I would be thinking as a student is like, well, why did I have to do all this work in one problem and then I could just try the answers in another?
Because I wasn't given the answers and
You
I
weren't,
didn't.
yeah, you weren't given the answers or you didn't, you know, I mean, you can kind of go either way. If you are given the answers, you can try just solving it. But if you're going to use the answers, you have to do it smartly. You know, you want to know, okay, like I need to find something out when I try an answer. I have to know like either it gets me closer to the solution or got me further away, so I eliminate, sort of thing.
Okay.
All right. All right, so here's what I want you to do. We've done a number of problems like this one. This maybe will be our last one. We'll switch topics after this, but I want you to first solve this, which means to move everything to one side, factor, set it equal to 0, and then I'll actually give you the question. But let's just make sure we're solid on this before we move on to a new topic.
Okay. Text. 3. Okay. I got
Okay,
you.
do you have some answers for me?
Yeah, x equals 3 and x equals 13.
3 and 13. Okay, now let's go look at what the actual question asks. And you've kind of seen this before, but this is so the question asks the following: what is the sum of the solutions to the given equation?
So you just add them together and then.
Yes. Now, if you did this though, which I think is what you did, is it possible you might choose minus 16?
Yeah, if you don't go all the way through with it, yeah.
That's right. That's right. And we've talked about A. You got to be really careful when you choose A. Is it really A because it's the right answer? Or is it A because they want you to choose that one because the answer is really, further down the list? Okay. There's way more we can do on this, but let's just call it a good on factoring for the moment here. I don't feel like we've done much with proportions and percentages and stuff. So let's look at some of these. These are story problems, which I think is
I
not
struggle. Yes.
struggle. Yeah. So we got to do
Middle.
them. All right. Do you like to read anything? Like, is there any reading you do enjoy? Just leave it that right. Say it that way. Is there any type of writing you do enjoy?
Yeah, I really like scary books.
Okay, so when you get in front of a book and you're reading it, like, how do you stay interested?
The thrill.
The thrill. Okay. All right. There is no thrill here. Boy. I was reminded. I watched a documentary or something on these people that have these amazing memories, and all they do is they create stories out of the things that they're supposed to remember, and they like imagine you're walking through your neighborhood. They create like a visual map of them walking through their neighborhood, and they're like, oh, Lincoln's like the Lincoln logs that my, little sister leaves on the ground. You probably don't have a little sister, but you know what I mean? Like there's probably ways you can create a story out of it, but the question is, like, will it work against you? I mean, there's nothing interesting here. I mean, these are just silly questions that people come up with. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think, but
Creating a visual, is that what you're talking about?
say that again.
Are you talking about like creating a visual for yourself?
Yeah, yes, but that's for memory. That's for like remembering things. It's not for like making this more fun to read. And I don't want you to get distracted while you read. Like that could be another issue, is like you start thinking about a story rather than the problem. Time will run out. Okay. All right. Well, let's just look at the problem. At Lincoln High School, approximately 7% of enrolled juniors and 5% of enrolled seniors were inducted into the National Honor Society last year. If there were 562 juniors and 602 seniors enrolled at Lincoln High School last year, which of the following is the closest to the total number of juniors and seniors at Lincoln High School last year who were inducted into the National Honor Society? All right, so there's a lot there. If we were to just read the last sentence, we would still have to go back and read the previous information. You may find you have to read them twice or more. All right, so why don't you read it to yourself and let me know when you're done, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right, I finished.
Okay, so they tell you that, and sometimes it's good to write some of the information down. So there's juniors, there's 562 of them, seniors 602, okay, and 7% of the juniors. So we need 7% of this number and 5% of this other number. And let's assume do you have a calculator?
Yeah, I bought that one. Remember
Okay.
the TI 84
Yeah,
plus?
you got a great deal on it. That's what you're telling me. Yeah. Okay. Are you comfortable trying to multiply these together?
Yeah.
All right. So just one at a time for me, please. And if you need help with the calculator, I've got a virtual one I can pull up, and
You want me to add them together or no?
sure. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
I got 69.44.
Okay. So humans are not, we don't have parts of a human. So which is the best answer for that?
B?
B. Now let's say you didn't have a calculator. What is 10% of 600?
About 60.
About 60. So this is about 30. Okay. And then 7% of 562. Let's do like 10%. So 10% is about 56. Half of that's about 28. So a little bit more than 28. So maybe like a little more than 30 to 35, roughly. We're just guessing. Right. And if we were to add these together, which is the closest to it? It's still 69.
Right.
So you've got a really powerful piece of technology in your hand. Okay. You've got, you've got like a thing that was more powerful than the first spaceship going to the moon in terms of its computing ability. So if you're going to use the calculator, you got to get good at using it. So I would do a certain number of problems with it, a certain number of problems without it. But if you're going to use it, try to get comfortable with it, or ask if you have some, like, that's what I was hoping, if you could go to this class, maybe you'd have some questions like, hey, we did this problem and I don't know how to use my calculator. Because I want to find some things that you maybe are struggling with. Okay, let's do another one here. I'm not going to put the answers up. I think that's been working well here. All right, so I'll read the question out loud. The amount of money a performer earns is directly proportional to the number of people attending the performance. The performer earns $120 at a performance where 8 people attend. Okay, so how much did they earn?
About 960.
All right, read it one more time. They earn $120 at a performance where 8 people attend.
Oh, okay.
So they
120.
get that no matter if there's, I assume no matter if there's 0 or 1 people, so on. The performer uses 43% of the money earned to pay the costs involved in putting on each performance. The rest of the money earned is the performance profit. So out of the money that they earn, 0.43 goes for costs, and how much goes to themselves? What's the percentage? These two numbers have to add up to 1.
67. No, not 67. 37 or 57. Sorry.
57. And that's important because you're going to find that both answers are going to be there. 0.43 times 120 and 0.57 times 120. Okay, now which one does it want?
The profit.
Profit. So go ahead and use your calculator and give me that number, please.
Okay. Point 4. Oh my gosh. 0.43.
We don't need that number though. We don't need that one. We just need the profit.
$96.9.
Try again.
Did I do it wrong?
Yes. Do you want me to pull up a calculator?
2, not a 7. Sorry. 68.
So 68.4 or $68.40. Good. Okay. Now, if you did can you do this other calculation and tell me what it is? 0.43 times 120?
51.6.
So look at the answers, and we've said this over and over again. That's wrong. 51.6 wrong. But if you don't pay attention to which one it's asking for, you're going to choose the wrong answer. So you got to really be clear, like, which one am I doing and why? Now, this is kind of an interesting observation. For the last 2 problems we've done, a lot of reading, but the calculations were fairly simple. A lot of reading, calculations were fairly simple. What do you think about that?
Trying to waste your time.
They are. I mean, you do have to read them, but they're trying to say they're not make. You can sort of say, well, for some of them, the calculations are not that difficult. So it is worth, reading through there. All right. Some more on percentages. This is one of those questions that standardized tests love. Is the answer bigger or smaller than 2000?
It's bigger.
It's bigger. Good. I'm glad you said that, because when I give you the full question, this is why sometimes it's good to cover up the answers so you make that decision. Not an answer and not an answer.
It's 2,400.
It's 2,400. Yeah. Good. All right. Let me look for a couple more questions here. This is not a calculator problem. If you're this next one, if you want to know whether you can use it or not. Okay, it says, let me frame this a little better. It says, what percentage of 40 is 15?
15. It'd be 32.5, right?
How did you come up with that? What did you divide?
3. I found the thirds.
So you just did this by hand. Is that so? So the answer is it's 15 out of 40.
right?
Okay. And that's why I'm asking how you did that. So any idea, if you did not have a calculator, how to convert this to a decimal?
Not a clue.
Okay. So these two are both clearly wrong. So the next best approach is to turn this 40 into 100. What do you multiply 40 by to get 100?
Uh, by 2.5 or something.
Yes, exactly. And that's important. 40 and 4 are numbers you might see a lot of. So you have to multiply
Oh, yeah,
50.
it's 37.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
But see, that's an easy question. And that's the one you got to get right. You have to get all the easy ones right.
Okay.
You got to get these ones right, some of the more difficult ones, and maybe you guess a few right on the harder ones. Like that's our goal here. You know, this is why we're doing this. It's so that you can do well on this test, because you're never going to have to do this ever again.
All the questions will be mixed up together, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So you got to kind of use your best, you know,
I was making sure. I was like,
we go ahead. Do you
sorry,
have more? I was going to say that we talked a little bit about this last time about like how you have to know when you're done with a problem. And I feel like as a student, I would do the following. I would say, I know it and I'm going to do it. Okay. That's like the best case. I know it, but it takes too long. Maybe come back. Don't know it and it takes a long time. That one you're for sure going to guess. And then don't know it, but maybe I can figure it out later. So like you obviously want a lot of number ones. You know it, you know how to do it, and just do it.
Mhm.
The ones where you're like, I don't know how to do it, and I will never figure it out. I'm going to guess and move on. And then that leaves you more time for like the 2s and the 4s, which I just made up here. There's probably a better way to organize this, where it's like you probably know it, but you need some more time, or you don't know it, and maybe by coming back, you will know it. That's a strategy too. You do not have to do the test in order. You don't have to do anything like that, but you have to have some strategy. It's like when you play sport. You know, you don't just go out there and throw up junk. You look at the team. Your coach tells you what to do. You got a scouting report or something. Uh, you have some sort of a plan. What do you think of that?
Makes sense. Yeah, that's what smart people do.
Well,
For sure.
but you can do this. I mean, everyone should be doing this, right? Everyone should have a plan. I mean, you had a plan. You show up on time for all of our lessons. Every single lesson you've been on time for. You've had your stuff out. Now maybe you're really motivated, but that's part of having a plan. Like you're like, this is really important. I'm going to figure it out. You can. I mean, do you have a routine before a basketball game?
Yeah.
You need a routine for this test. I'm going to get a really good night's sleep. Not going to talk to my friends, 4 hours before the test or whatever. Like you have to have a set of things you're going to do to be successful. All
Okay.
right, let's look at this problem whenever you're ready. If you need a short break, minute or two, we can do that, or we'll just keep going here.
Fine.
All right, Nick surveyed a random sample of the freshman class of his high school to determine whether the fall festival should be held in October or November. Of the 90 students surveyed, 25.6% preferred October. So we assume that the others preferred November, since there was only 2 options.
Yeah. 4.4.
Yes. Based on this information, about how many students of the entire 225 person class would be expected to prefer having the fall and festival in October? So we basically want a fourth of that number. You don't have a calculator on this. And it would be easy just to grab it. You could do that. I would never know, but we want a fourth of that. So we know a fourth of like 200 is 50.
Yep.
This is more than 200. So is the number bigger than 50? Yes. Now, maybe you know this, a fourth of 300 is 75. And that's
Yes.
too big.
Yes.
So what is the correct answer?
60.
60. And you can use sort of estimation techniques. Again, just like the other problems, they've got a lot of words, blah, blah, blah. That you know, the really only needed two of the numbers to do it. And we used an estimation technique. And you can do that for sure.
Obviously, don't use the estimation technique on really close numbers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, if the answers were 60, or 59, 60, 61, 62, you'd have a calculator, and they would hopefully be reasonably close to be able to do that.
Cool.
I'm just looking for some more problems here.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's another one. This is another one of those, like we've been doing, a lot of words and not
Simple.
a lot of math, and you can no to a calculator on this one. So what I'd like you to do is read it twice and then try to answer it.
Based on the 2010 US Census, the population of Milwaukee, Wisconsin was about 96% of the population of Baltimore, Maryland. In 2010, if Milwaukee's population was 595,000, which of the following is the best approximation of Baltimore's population? So 96%.
If you need to read it again, you can read it to yourself. You don't have to read it out loud, but I want you to give this one a try on your own.
Okay. Based on the 2010 US Census, the population of Milwaukee, Wisconsin was 96% of the population of Baltimore, Maryland. In 2010, if Milwaukee's population was about 595,000, which of the following is the best approximation of Baltimore population? I'll project so you understand what I'm thinking. It's definitely not 95,000 because that's not anywhere close to 595,000. It's we only need 96%. And it's definitely not 300,000 because that's less than, or it's just over 50%. And 620,000 is above 100%. So it'd be B, right?
So your answer is B. And I like how you logic that out. The really comes down to, there's really only two answers that are reasonable. These two right here. Okay. And the question is which is the smaller population? Okay. Is Milwaukee smaller than Baltimore, or is Baltimore smaller than Milwaukee? That's what you have to decide.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin was about 96%. So Milwaukee would be smaller.
Yeah, so Milwaukee is less than Baltimore. And are they giving you, is this Milwaukee's population or Baltimore's?
Milwaukee's.
So 595,000. Baltimore better be bigger.
Oh. Yeah. So it'd be A.
It'd be A. Is that a difficult question?
No, I just
But
overthought.
but it's hard when there's a lot of words and it's written a certain way like this. You did a good job of getting it down to the two most reasonable answers, but of course, you know, there's more to it. All right, let's look at one more here. We'll work on this one together.
Lainey
Okay,
spent
15% of her, so go ahead.
Lainey spent 15% of her 8-hour workday in meetings. How many minutes of her workday did she spend in meetings? So we do
Okay.
68.
Say that one more time.
Would we do 60 times 8 and then multiply that by 0.15?
Yes. Yes. So 480 and then 0.15 times 480. And do you have a calculator?
Can I use one?
Yes.
72 minutes.
Yes. Now, what do you think the answer? So this is the correct answer. What is 0.15 times 8? You got a calculator?
1.2.
All right. Now, you probably are having flashbacks, nightmares to the first time you took this test, but what is the first answer? for
Yeah.
this, which is
Yeah.
wrong. And what's the correct answer?
D.
Yeah. How many times do you think you did that on the test?
More than a dozen. For sure.
Well, now you know. Yeah, it's like fouling out of a game. It's not much fun.
And then you realize it's different.
You're like, why did I do that? All right. That's pretty much it for today. So in terms of like, your lesson planning, we've got a couple more weeks. We'll just try to keep hitting on the different topics. You're getting a good feel for my style. So if you need me to change anything, please let me know. Like if I'm going too fast, obviously tell me, things like that. So
Thank you.
that is it. Have a great night. Talk to you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.